Hi, I'm Heather Coates, the Digital Scholarship and Data Management Librarian at the IUPUI University Library. For the next few minutes, I'll be talking to you about data in the humanities and data for humanities scholarship. Although many humanities scholars may not use the term data, a wide range of data are used by humanist scholars and students in their research. This quote from Helene Williams puts it nicely. Humanists can and do use anything as data. Humanities data extends beyond books and the text within to book covers and illustrations, to include New York City restaurant menus, historic data visualizations, the Visible Woman toy, oral histories, and much more. Research data are typically described in scientific terms, but truly research data are any recorded information that are used to answer a research question. Often, data are abstractions, simple counts and descriptions of objects, events, people, or places. If you use data created in other disciplines, you should be aware of the limitations and biases inherent in that data. So, some things to help you find data for your own research. You want to think about the types and the sources of data. So when we talk about the type of data, sometimes that means the format, so text, numeric, tabular data, images, audio-visual, 3D objects. And the sources of the data generally refers to the people or the organizations that are creating that data. The next thing that you'll want to think about are, where are the data shared? Where can I find data? Right now, that's a bit of the wild, wild west. Things are changing rapidly, and there are literally thousands of places to share and find data across the web. So I want to recommend 4 common sources. The first are domain or disciplinary repositories like the Modern Language Association Commons and the HathiTrust repository of book texts that have been digitized. The next place you might want to look are institutional data repositories like that we have here, IUPUI DataWorks. If you don't have any luck with the first 2, you might have to turn to an index of data repositories like Re3Data, and that's a great resource to help you find data that's relevant to the specific topic. Finally, if you get really stuck and you can't find anything that you need, there's a registry called the DataSci registry. You can do sort of a keyword search and it will find things based on keyword matches for you. It is a very broad resource, and so you'll want to be aware that there are limitations and that it's not the easiest tool to browse. So some ways to find data. I would always recommend that you start with the literature. So look for articles that are talking about your topic, then see if they mention data. If that doesn't get you to actual data sources, web searching is probably the next natural place to start. You can use your preferred search engine, either Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever you like. You can oftentimes put the word data in the search term with your keywords, and you'll get some kind of links that are appropriate. Now, sometimes that's a lot of noise and they're not super relevant. Just depends on whether the folks who created the data actually call it data. Another way to work around this is actually to put your topic with a file type next to it. And in Google, the sort of way that you enter that is file type semicolon and the file format. Again, you can also turn to disciplinary data repositories and data indexes or registries, but I highly recommend that you start where you're comfortable. Start with what you know, which is literature searching. So to help you get started, just to understand how data are used in the humanities and what the broad range of options are, I've got some DH projects listed on this page. We've also got some great scholars who are doing fascinating work in this area, and oftentimes they point to resources, point to really popular and useful tools for using data in the humanities. But most of all, what I want you to remember is that we actually have a digital humanities librarian, Caitlin Pollock, who's available to help you. So here are the sources for the images that I used, and this is a great resource, Digital Humanities Now, that might help you learn a little bit more about data in the humanities and get some ideas for your own research. Thanks for watching.